Distinguished honorable colleagues, Secretariat, the Director General National Orientation Agency, you are here, authority NOA. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this first interactive meeting with the National Orientation Agency since the inception of this 10th Assembly. Please recall that the committee paid an oversight visit to the National Orientation Agency precisely 21st November 2024 in order to familiarize itself with its activities and budget performance for the previous years, how the agency has fared, our challenges, and probably way forward. However, today's meeting is centered primarily on the mandate, vision of the agency to build an orderly, responsible, and disciplined Nigerian society where citizens actively demonstrate the core values of honesty, hard work, patriotism, and national unity. Also, NOA is expected to focus on mobilizing and orientating the public to achieve some key national goals like behavioral change and eradication of vices, to mention but few. In September 2025, there was a circular from the presidency on the National Value Charter, which the agency is championing. The committee wished to draw your attention to paragraph 6 of the extract from the conclusion of the Federal Executive Council's meeting of Monday, 23rd September 2024, which states, approved that short training on national symbols by NOA should be part of the retreat for newly appointed or elected public officers before they assume office. The committee would want to know when this was carried out, and even at committee level. Furthermore, let me also remind you that during the oversight visit to your agency, the committee encouraged you to make necessary effort to acquire a permanent office. To this end, the committee would want to know if there is any development. Still, on the same visit, the issue of training for members was discussed. We want to know how far. On enlightenment programs, the committee is interested to know at known effort made at various states and local government areas on sensitizing the citizen of government programs and policies. In view of the above, may I invite the DG to address the committee. Thank you.
Glad to be here. I have a lengthy note here, but I'll try as much as possible to just run through it. But let me first specifically address some of the questions that the chairman has raised. Some of the questions the chairman has raised, which also their answers are in the document, but because he emphasized those words, I would quickly address it. Thank you for noting that when you visited, we did promise that NOA, we do not want to go about this assignment the way it has been done over the last 30 years, where all we do will be to produce jingles, beautiful jingles, and make a lot of noise across the country, when we know the issues and the challenges are deeper than that, and they require a more comprehensive, lasting solutions, to it. So that was what led to what we call the National Identity Project, to develop an identity for us as citizens of this country, so that we have shared and common values, that anywhere we are, we know who we are as Nigerians and what are the expectations of that we should beat. So we also realize that within our mandate, based on our current act, it is not responsive to the contemporary realities. It's echoing. Did you say it's echoing? Oh, okay. So it is not responsive to the contemporary realities. The act is almost 22 years ago. That time, social media, all of this AI, were not in place. So we realized that some of the innovations that we are bringing on board, we needed the legal teeth to be able to implement them. So we felt the need to go to council, and the president graciously approved all our 14 requests on the 23rd of September 2024. We also realized that because we needed to make it a national project, and as we have written to the president, another letter went just last week, where we reiterated the fact that the National Value Charter is similar to what you have in those other countries that have national character. Take Japan as an example. Some of us saw what happened at this World Cup. The Japanese team, anytime they finish in their dressing room, they clean up by themselves. It was not by accident. That's how they were raised. It is already encoded in their value system. Some 5 months ago, in the same Japan, the road tolling system collapsed. So vehicles were driving without having tolls. And it lasted for 38 hours before they restored the system. After they restored the system, over 24,000 vehicle owners went voluntarily. They calculated what they ought to have paid if the system was working, and they went to pay. It didn't happen by accident. From the samurai code, they have what they call wa, Bushido code, where every Japanese is trained from birth, growing up with the values. So they have common characteristics and they know who they are. We don't have that in this country. That's what led to the National Values Charter. And so we are working on amending, or actually repealing and reenacting our act to be able to incorporate all of these new things so that we can be able to meet the challenges of modern times. So you have mentioned under the National Value Charter, we have 2 codes. One we call the Nigerian Promise. The Nigerian Promise, because the Value Charter is a two-way thing, a reciprocal relationship and commitment between Nigeria and the citizens. So the Nigerian Promise represents what this country has promised all of us as citizens. And for those of us who are lucky to be, serving in government, including the distinguished members who are here, our responsibility is to fulfill those 7 promises on behalf of Nigeria. That's the Nigerian Promise Code. We also have, on the flip side, what we call the citizen codes, if you like, code of conduct. There are also 7 principles, which every Nigerian citizen must use as parameters to, appraise himself and see how Nigerian he is. If you look at those 7 parameters, then you can stick and say, I'm not Nigerian enough. I'm still lagging behind in this particular aspect. So this is how you develop, common characteristics and shared value system for a country. So because we have the Nigerian Promise, the 7 principles, and the Citizen Code, 7 principles, so we call it 7 for 7. The country is giving us 7, and citizens are returning 7. But beyond the 747, we also recognize that there must be institutions to nurture every Nigerian on this charter, on the value system. So we recommended 7 institutions. One of it is what you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, which is that every public official, once appointed or elected, must undergo value training before resumption. So that you, even if you have come across it before, you are reminded as you go into the office that particularly you are going there on behalf of the country to keep the Nigerian promise, those 7 principles contained in the Nigerian promise. So to start that, we began to reach out to the institutions that will enable us to be able to implement those 7 institutions of nurturing. Namely, we reach out to the Federal Ministry of Education, because part of the 7 institutions of nurturing is to incorporate National Value Charter, the value system, in the curriculum of our schools, so that anybody who goes to Nigerian school, you learn what it means to be a Nigerian, going through the schools. You can't be a British citizen without attending class on what their values are. They will not even give you. So I'm happy to tell you that September last year, working with the Ministry of Education and the relevant agencies, the subject called Heritage and Citizenship has been introduced as compulsory subject from primary 1 to SS3. So you cannot go through the primary school or secondary school in Nigeria now today without being tutored and nurtured as a Nigerian. And as we speak, we have a joint committee with the Nigerian University Commission developing the curriculum. So when you are doing your general study in the university, which is also a compulsory subject, you also go through the advanced stage of the Nigerian value system. And we also have a joint committee with the Nigerian Board of Polytechnic and Colleges for Education. We are working on the curriculum together. This same issue of incorporating into training, as we speak, we have finalized with the prison service. Now they have the National Value Charter as part of their training manual. So any training, including new recruits or existing personnel of the prison service, they do this. We are at advanced stage with the road safety, same with the police, because it has to be all institutions that have training as components of what they do, especially the personnel, the security agencies, including the military. This must be incorporated into their training manual. So, which means you must come across it no matter what route you are taking on. In just about 3 months ago, when the new ambassadors were having retreats with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we were there to fulfill this mandate. They were trained on the National Values Charter, all the ambassadors, before they departed to their various country of assignments. And as we speak, we are packaging some materials. We are going to send to all Nigerian missions abroad. It includes the national flag, the standardized national flag, the coat of arms, the national anthem, a lot of copies for them, so that anybody who goes there, Nigerians, they can give these materials to them. And we are also producing materials, video, audiovisual materials to sell Nigeria. So if they go for any event, they can show it to sell Nigeria and show what we have and what people of those countries can also do with Nigeria. So we are packaging all of that. Yeah, it is not moving at the pace that we would have wanted. And that's why we have been working to ensure, because the president, if you will recall, the presidential address of January 1, 2025, the president stated that he would unveil the national charter. In fact, I said first quarter of 2025. But somehow we have not been able to achieve that. Just last week, we wrote another letter to ensure that, because once the president unveiled it, every Nigerian, to gain that kind of capacity that every Nigerian will be able to key into it. We've written the National Assembly severally on this issue also. The office of the Senate President and the office of the Speaker. We have actually asked from the Senate President for courtesy visits going to almost 1 year. We have repeatedly sent letters. We have not gotten any feedback to be able to also carry them along, so that in the process of repealing and reenacting our act, they will find it is necessary, and everybody will be able to put in the best. You mentioned the issue of permanent office. Mr. Chairman, you mentioned the issue of permanent office. Yes. We reach out to the EFCC because we know they have forfeited buildings all over Abuja and elsewhere in the country. And we believe that there could be such building that would be befitting for us. But we were told that it's only presidential approval that can lead to that. So, some 2 months ago, I was opportune to be with the president. I went with those memos, and we got approval for EFCC to look for such building that we can use as permanent office. So these are the efforts we are making beyond the call of duty on that. On the issue of enlightenment, like I said, I need to apologize. We could have produced a copy for each person that they can go around. Maybe we'll still be able to send that along, but everything is contained in this document. So whatever you have seen on TV, it was because we were smart enough to key into a number of things last year. Some of them spill over. For instance, we key into the premiership, because we know that a lot of Nigerians watch the premiership. So half time of every single match, the 380 matches of the premiership, you will see NOA's message at the half time. So because that spilled into May, almost end of May, before the premiership ended, you would think we are still just doing that. It started from August last year. Same thing with the Champions League. Every single match of the 196 matches of Champions League, we keyed into it, and half-time, NOA's message was there. And that also into this year till end of May. We have partnerships with some television stations. Some things we are supposed to pay for, some we ask them to do as their own contribution to the peace and well-being of the country. Some of them oblige us. So some of the things you see on TV are being done on the basis of such cooperation with some of the media houses who are supporting, we call them media partners, who are supporting. So they give us a certain number of slots to play our materials for free, on the condition that we also have part of it that we pay for. So I can tell you that today we are heavily indebted to many of them. We have not been able to meet our own financial obligation. But some of them are still carrying on, with what they are supposed to do. Finally, you also mentioned the issue of enlightenment, which is a core mandate of our of the agency. I can tell you that if there's any area where we have done very well, it is in the issue of enlightenment, sensitization. Because what we did was, within the first 6 months, upon my resumption on the 20th of October 2023, was to bring about those modern platforms of engagement, of communication. Because when I didn't meet anything to communicate with Nigerians when I got there. So the first thing we did was to build our own studio so we can produce our own materials internally. And we did that. Secondly, we are the agency, and we got award for that in 2024. We are the first agency in Nigeria, a government institution in Nigeria, that adopted artificial intelligence, using it as a means of communicating to Nigeria. I'm proud to recall what happened in Kenya during the African Public Relations Association event that NIPR invited me to. And the AI people came from the US, including OpenAI and all of those companies that started AI, thinking they were coming to sell AI to Africa and tell us how we can benefit from it. And in the room where we all sat down with the Minister of Information Zambia, or the Deputy Minister from Ghana, from many African countries seated there, I stood in for Nigeria. And I actually also represented the Minister of Information there. And they were talking about the AI, how it would be useful. And I saw my fellow Africans, jubilating, celebrating it, and I felt so sad. And I had to tell them that, sorry, in Nigeria already, we have our own homegrown equivalent of ChatGPT. That anything you want to know about government policy, once you go to what we call clean, you can discuss voice or chat, it will give you all the answers to anything you want. Yes, we are not able to continue to maintain it because of also resources, but it is there, and we have done it. And everybody was surprised to know that we have. That event, the Zambia ambassador in Kenya, related with our counterpart in Nigeria, paid us a visit to see how they could also emulate that. So these are some of the things we have done. Enlightenment. For proper coordination, I introduced zonal directorates. We didn't have it at NOA before, so we have zonal directorate now for the 6 geopolitical zone for proper coordination of the state. And I met, out of 774 local governments, about 111 local governments had no single staff. Some local governments with 1 staff, and in the past they used to have between 11 and 20 staff in each local government. But some local governments don't have anyone at all, or 1. So how much can one individual do in a whole local government, with no impress, nothing, just his salary, and you expect him to go around the country to be. So we proposed to the DG, the Office of the Director General of Budget, the Budget Office, that we propose a 3-layer impress, overhead, that they commit certain overhead that goes to all these local governments directly, and then our 36 state and FCT, and then the headquarters, so that they are sure that there is a constant stream of resources for them to carry out their activities. But we got a reply that the public service rule does not allow that. So we are working with them with the possibility of increasing our overhead. So maybe we can now from there, break it into 3, and at least local government can have something to work with. I got there were no vehicles, not even for myself as a DG, but thankfully we got some support through the EFCC, who gave us about 25 vehicles, which we were able to give to some of our directors, and we are still finding it difficult to. In the past, local government had vehicles, not just even state or headquarters. Local government had vehicles in the past. They have truck with mounted public address system. They had that in the past. But I'm now talking of local government that they don't even have office. I'm talking of the office. It's not just headquarters, Mr. Chairman. It includes even many states. We have only 6 states where NOA has its own office. It's either we are squatting at the federal secretariat somewhere, with all the burden of come and pay for this and that, or we rent somewhere, And I'm sad to report that our office, which is one of the 6 that we have in Benin City, that we have occupied for about 32 years. Suddenly, some committee of government sold the entire office with our staff there. We are in court with them now. We wrote to the general, we didn't get any feedback. They sold their existing office, NOA's office in Benin City. These are the kind of challenges that we are facing. On the issue of vehicles, I'm also happy to report that part of the memos I took to Mr. President when I had the opportunity was also to instruct the Nigerian customs to release whatever vehicles they could. So we are in the process working with the customs to see what we can get from them to ensure that we are able to work. So we realize that the enlightenment that we have been doing, it's not programmed, and we want impact, not just pretending to the public that we are working. We want something that we can say is impactful. So what we did by early last year, we have what we call national campaigns. So in a year, we introduced 8 national campaigns. Every day our staff, they do the best they can, but we introduce specifically what we call national campaigns, 8, 2 per quarter. So what do we do? In a particular campaign, we will identify maximum of 5 thematic areas. It could be drug abuse, it could be when it is rainy season, we can add issue of flooding in those areas that we already know from limits, they are going to be flooded. So we would select 5 prevailing issues. And we will mobilize all our 774 local governments with all the required materials they need, with information they need on those 5 thematic areas. We mobilize all the 36 states and FCT. And our directors in the headquarters, all of them will go down to support the local government, and everybody will be on the field for 2 weeks. It will be intensive campaign. Each state mobilizing the media in their state, doing town hall, meeting with stakeholders, going to visit the traditional rulers, visit the religious leaders, and motor parks, markets. We'll do it for 2 weeks. So it will happen simultaneously all over the country. So we do that twice per quarter. So, the last time we were able to do it was November last year, because it will also require a lot of resources to be able to do even that. So, these are part of the challenges. We did what we call audience segmentation. There are different categories of audience because everybody has his own media, what we call media habits. Where I source my information may not be where somebody else sources his information. So you must know all of this and ensure you take information to every segment in their own preferred platform. So those who are on the social media, we work with 300 influencers as we speak. These 300 influencers have minimum of 50,000 followers, up to 1 million, including some of the notable ones that I don't just want to be throwing up their names here. So the agreement is every day whatever we have, we put it, they all receive it, and then spread it on their pages. If we have resources, there are other things to do to make it viral. We are not able to do that, as of yet. But those 300 people are working with us. We also have partnerships with 253 radio stations nationwide. They are on the WhatsApp group with us. If we drop any information now, all these radio stations will broadcast it in their own, in all the languages of their broadcast in their respective station. So we have a total of 72 Nigerian languages that we cover with any piece of information that we drop. And we do this on a daily basis. We also have, at least in 15 states today, 30 minutes program weekly on radio station that our staff will go there, pick topics that are relevant to the state and what is going on there, and educate people, bring experts in to talk about it. So we are doing that also. There is what, because of the job that I do, I understand when you have radio stations, you have some program that allow callers calling to contribute. In most states, there are associations of radio phone callers. They have association. So they are not working for nothing. So when you see that some people become popular because they always call on radio, they are actually working with the producer, the presenter. So when they have an issue to trash, a day before that program, the callers know that this is what we are going to do tomorrow, and this is the direction we will go. This is the narrative we are going to push. And our people who do not like what is going on in the country, they use them a lot against the country by providing the resources. So you just find out that certain people, all the time their own phone will get in. All the time the programs open, they always get in. It's not by accident. They are working. So we are working with 150 members of this Nigerian radio phone callers today, so that anything we educate them on Nigeria, so that whenever they are discussing issues, at least they understand what the issues are. Excuse me. Maybe I should stop here. Maybe through questions, any gap I'll be able to fill in.
NOA. You should show by example that you're coming alone. I don't know if the letter inviting you was to come alone. Thank you. That's the first question. The DG, you said you've written to the National Assembly to pledge House of Rep, properly to the Senate President. And to the house that where we belong, I want to find out, is the chairman, have you done any communication with the chairman in this aspect? Write it down. Then you've also talked about trying to amend the act, that you are working on it. I want to also find out, is this committee through the chairman aware of what you're doing? Next question is, you've also did mention that for the past 30 years, there have been this way of doing things, and when you came in, you decided to change the way of carrying out not pamphlets or jingles. I would like you to enlighten the committee. What are the new innovations you have brought in? And this, your national campaign, quarterly campaign carried out. All of us here, we are from constituencies, we are from local government, and we keep tab with what is happening in our LGAs. You said you carry it out twice quarterly. The last was in November, and it is locally driven, that is to the LGA. I think I'm looking for the right word to use. That this campaign, to me, exists in theory, not in practical. And if otherwise, by evidence, I want this committee to be given those clips, because I'm seeing it particularly in my local government. I've never heard, I've seen any time this NOA has carried out any campaign with the kind of mobilization you talked about. The chairman will rest for now, and he'll do.
My colleagues, while I align with some of the comments of my colleague, particularly your coming alone to face this committee, I think enough. Notwithstanding, I also want to commend you. I listened to you, what you've done. They are very brilliant ideas. However, this committee appears to be, we are not in the picture of all that you are doing. Unless you you related with our chairman. I want to advise you, sir, that there are so many ways that this committee can help you to achieve many of the ideas that you put on paper. So that if we don't know what is going on with your agency, we will not be in a position to help you. You can't help somebody that you don't know has a problem. And I also want you to, somehow it appears you have neglected this committee. And, because this is the first time I will be meeting you and I'm a member of this committee. So, your ideas are extremely brilliant. All what you are saying makes a lot of sense. But there is no way you are going to succeed without the support of this committee. Because this committee and the House has more spread than any other organization in Nigeria. 360 constituencies with members that are connected to the grassroots. I think you need to make more use of the assets that you have in this committee. And even if it has to do with enabling laws, relating with the chairman and the committee will assist you, even when it comes to budgeting, because there's always a way of lobbying. And lobbying is not a crime. We lobby all over the whole place. Even in our families, we love our members. So I think that these are some of the things you need to do. You mentioned some local governments. I was a council chairman in Lagos for 2 terms. And I know that national orientation agencies have offices in all of the 20s. Local governments in Lagos State. They don't have in the LCDAs. But they do have in the main local government. So it's the one that is in the main local government that relates with the ones that are in the LCDs. And at that time, we do a lot of things. I was a council chairman, as I've told you, and we used to give impress to the National Orientation Agency office in all our local governments in Lagos. So I know quite a lot, and they were very helpful. So maybe you also need to look at some of the things that your predecessors were doing. And you don't need to throw away all of them. Those that you can still build on to be to your advantage. That's my comment for now. Thank you, my colleagues.
Yes, the honorable have said part of what I had wanted to say. Mr. DG, you notice our agency is a very important agency. It's very critical, the progress and development of our country. Because if our citizens are misinformed, we are in trouble, collectively, the National Assembly and the Executive. The agency, if you could recall, when Professor Jerry Gana headed the MOMSA, everybody knows about MOMSA in Nigeria. But, last year we had an issue trying to pass controversial tax laws. But nobody had anything from NOA to enlighten the citizens about the issue of tax laws. People were misinformed, a lot of confusion and crisis in our country. So, but Honorable Amodbi has said it all. I was councillor 3 times in my local government and 7 years as local government chairman. I know very well how NOA performed a lot of sensitization and enlightenment. In 1991, I was permanent councillor under SDP. I know then 774 local government staff of NOA, they were given brand new motorcycle to go into communities and enlighten the people on programs of government, federal government, especially. But DG, what you are telling the committee that you have a strength of over 3,000 staff, I think this committee needs to be given details about your manpower, your staff strength. And you mentioned about social media influencers. You say you have over 300. I think as members of the House of Reps, somebody in his constituency here, I don't want to mention one, they have more than 300 social media influencers. You are thinking of having 50,000 followers. If you have 50,000 followers and you are a social media influencer, maybe finance, you may have over 40,000 not supporting. So having 50,000 followers is not that 50,000 followers are following you to support what you have posted. No, you need to find out what is happening, what is the feedback, because you are a mediator between the citizens and the government. You need to bring back what happened to the citizens as feedback to the government. And you take programs, policies back to the people. So you need to do a lot. And I think this committee had the right to know the social media influencers, the staff strength, and your challenges. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
He must have jotted down a lot of questions. Maybe we should give him time to respond to those questions before we ask. Thank you,
members. Let me address quickly the first question of why I'm here alone. As I speak, our team, the top people who should be here with me, are in the Vice President's office. I'm supposed to be there for an assignment, so I had to decide which one should I personally attend. As of 10 a.m., I was not sure I would come to this place, but I had to look on the balance. They are there with the office of the VP now on the Economic Committee, of which we are members. So at least we have about 8 people who have gone there. They are part of several subcommittees in that place. The meeting is still going on as I speak now. But notwithstanding, I could still let me. Honorable member, it is the easiest thing for me to do is to come here with 40. I said I could not cheat. That should be noted.
Noted. Next time, DG, please.
Okay, now, so there is nothing we are doing. Both chairmen, that of the House of Rep and the Senate, there's nothing new here that I've said that I'm sure the chairman is not aware of, or chairman of the Senate committee. We have had several meetings, we've written several letters, we've worked together on many things, including the issue of budget, to ensure that the budget of the agency is enhanced. They did their best, especially in the last budget. The resolution that was passed was referred to them. They will work assiduously. We saw the efforts. But at the end of the day, we got 450 million for everything that we had to do in the NOA for 2025 budget. Okay, that was 2025. They did their best. We've always been working together. But see, the challenge is 80% of the time one needs to attend to all of these things. It's what we are spending pursuing things that we are not supposed to be pursuing. I've mentioned many things here today that are not supposed to be my purview, looking for office, going to lobby for vehicle from EFCC. These are all the issues that one has to continue to. Somebody selling our office in Benin City, with our staff there. We wrote everybody, nobody responded. We have to go to court by ourselves. So these are the kind of challenges we face. I will give an example, Mr. Chairman, you bear me out. The issue of voter education, we realized that the 2023 election was particularly troublesome because that was the first time the Gen Z were old enough to participate actively in elections. And they knew nothing about electoral process or democracy. And they caused a lot of trouble, hiding the tons of arguments that we had in this country over whether if you state and you don't win FCT, then you have not won. You can imagine all sorts of things. And it's supposed to be our responsibility. But this same institution also put it in INEC's Act as their responsibility. From the record, 1 naira has never been given to NOA for electoral campaign or anything. So we go to INEC to seek for support. The off-season election we had last year, I think Anambra and Ondo, I believe so. The INEC gave us 2 million for each state. What are we going to do? We rejected it. We have a letter. We returned the money to them that we would rather go and do whatever we can do on our own because they have huge budget for this and they don't have the capacity to do it. It is not their focus. It's not their main mandate. Professor Jega had actually proposed to this institution that they should take that off their book so that they can focus on the conduct of elections. But it's still there. So we had another opportunity when he, the chairman here, graciously assisted us to lobby the committee on INEC when they were going to start the review of the act. We came, we made all the presentation. He also did all he could do. Finally, they didn't do, nothing happened. The act still reinstated it in the INEC, whatever. So just 3 weeks ago, I was with the INEC chairman. Go and say, since we have the resources, we need to do this job to ensure that people are educated on this issue. So, on the Act Amendment, is aware that Honorable Akin, right? Mr. Chairman, is Honorable Akin, wrote to me. He took it upon by himself. In fact, we got to know after he had started. So we had to approach him, and he said it should be the job of the committee. It has passed the first reading in both chambers. But since that time, we have never gone follow up because we realized that the two people handling it in both chambers are not in those committees that are relevant to us. Out of interest, we are not blaming them, we are commending them. But it is not their whatever. We also realized that some of the things we were asking for, because as we have rightly said, we can do anything in this country, have fantastic road, railway, everything, beautiful. But if you don't have citizens that love their country, it's a waste of time. Those same citizens will go to the road you have built and remove the manhole to sell. They will go to the rail line and remove the sleepers to sell. They will go to the bridges and remove the railings to sell. Nigerians are psychologically disconnected from this country. It is clear for all of us to see. So our acts are to address all of these things. And we thought we needed the executive empowerment to ensure that when it is done, because the speaker actually told me, he said it will take 2 months for him to get it out. I went to him. He said, but you have to be sure that it will be signed when it gets to the president. So we are doing all the efforts that all the new innovations that we mentioned, when this committee paid us a visit, because all these things are not new, we reel out all that we're doing already that. We reel them out to them. The national campaign does not exist in theory, sir. I just told you that the Jerry Ghana, let me take that question along with this. During Jerry Ghana, average staff you have in the local government were 15. With 5 in the local government, with mounted, whatever, a population of 90 million people. Up to 30 million now. There was no social media during Jerry Ghana. In fact, there are no public television stations. It's only government-owned. Radio, very few of them. So it was easy. But now that we even have 230 million people with polarized media, all sorts of platforms now, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere, it is the time that we now don't have anything. So these are the challenges. So the committee is in the picture of this innovation. The offices in Lagos, honorable members, the offices in Lagos, the local government offices, they don't have any impress from us, not 1 naira. And in most of those local governments, you will know that they have very few staff, 1, 2, 3, like that. So, so that is the system. In the whole of the 36 states now, only 2 states are giving our people impress. I've gone around the country. I've met virtually all the governors. Tell them that this agency, by our law, we are also to serve you. So use them. Even if it's 500,000 monthly, give our office to work. As of today, when we introduced the 6 zonal offices, many of the governors gracefully provided accommodations for them. You know, so we are not doing it without, we are doing our best to reach out to people that can. Then, so I've addressed the issue of budget provisions. That's what we have, and as of today, not 1 naira of that 450 million has been released, not 1 naira as we speak. And the tax law, sir. I don't know, honorable who asked. You are the one, sir? Okay, tax law. There is no any institution in the country that did more than us on tax law within our limited resources. If you ask the Minister of Finance today, who happened to be the chairman of that committee, in fact, before I left office this afternoon, he said to us that we should send people for some meetings, because we are working together with him right from when he was doing tax reform. We did everything we could during the tax reform. He promised, he was working with us on actually providing funds for us, specifically for tax, whatever. That was when he became the Minister of Finance. After he became Minister of Finance, a visit. That now you are even in a better position to help us. You already know our challenges. And he made, which I'm sure we will all see, I hope we will see the difference in the next budget. The 300, okay, somebody mentioned personnel. The provision, establishment provisions for NOA were 7,000 staff. When I got there, there were less than 4,000. Because NOA clocked 35 about 4 years ago. So, our staff, the first 3 years, every week I still sign on retirement. People are retiring. No replacement in that adequate number. So, but we is aware of the effort we are making to get approval to recruit. Is aware. You know, the 300 social media influencers. Yeah, you for the approval. No. I said that we were 7. My provision is 7,000, but we are less than 4,000. So the end of service, they don't have power to give you maximum 300. So imagine how many years it will take to cover the gap. So we have to. So we need them higher than that. Maybe like the agencies under the interior, you know, they have all these thousands now that they have. It is the president that can give that. And that we have, I'm 95% certain we are going to get a very good number this year from the president. Otherwise, head of service has a limit, you know. The gap. Very correct, sir. Very correct, sir. But I'm happy to tell you that as we speak, we already have approval for 250 at head of service. The challenge we have is with the budget office, because our 2026 personnel budget does not. So it's because the DG budget also is very concerned about NOA. And when we met, for instance, he put in the budget of 2025 that REA should take NOA out of the national grid so that we can be provided electricity. That is the much he has been trying to help us. But even REA has not been able to receive its capital to implement that. So the DG budget has promised to raise the personnel budget to cover that 250. With the one we are. No. The challenge, we know there was a minimum wage. So it's like 2.5 years now. I'm sure within the next 2 months. Interact as much as possible. I said I'm 95% certain. Yeah. Yes. Now. Yeah. Now, yes. See, I just want to pass. It's very important. It's very important as a committee that I pass this information. You have been saying it, but let me reiterate it. Let me. Okay. After that, I was reaching out to people who can help us. I made a presentation before you came. This is part of what you have been saying, but I want to reiterate it. There is no reform that is bigger than reforming ourselves. Otherwise, every other reform is not going to work. And the letter we just sent through the minister to the president last week was to the effect that there is one more reform he needs to inaugurate, and that is national character reform. So that they can now pay attention in terms of resources and whatever they need to do to that. We recommended the constitution of an implementation committee that will involve all the sectors of Nigeria, public sector, private sector, traditional rulers, all of, we recommended it just last week through the minister to the president. So now the point I wanted to make, sir, this approach. No, not commission. Implementation. You know why I said that? The president said he will unveil it. So we want everybody to be part of the unveiling. Just the unveiling, not the actual. No. No. Thanks for your concern. It's a committee for the unveiling. To make it a Nigerian unveiling. so that everybody. You are the secretariat. The secretariat. So the issue of budget that you mentioned, sir. This same 2025 budget, you recall, Mr. Chairman, there was a resolution on the floor of the House, which was referred to this committee, on this issue of budget, but nothing came out of it, despite all your efforts. So it has happened. A resolution had been passed on the floor of the House, and it was referred to this committee, and this committee, the fact is, gave you 2 weeks. The committee worked, referred back, nothing came out of it. So these are.
Honorable colleagues, DG, I want to please ask you a personal question. My members have done a good job, exposing some questions to you, which you answered the way you can. You know that when anybody hears about National Orientation Agency, the summary, the thing is dissemination of information, reorientating our people from the grassroots, nothing more. Everything you wrote here on paper, I've gone through it, page by page. It boils down to the same thing. And the question is, how do you get this information to the grassroots? Even the national character thing you are talking about, we should be talking about how to change the younger ones. The younger ones, and we need to get to grassroots. One of our colleagues here, Dr. Mark, said, of all the beautiful things he said about the program last year, it not happened in his own constituency, in his local government. Come from here. And so, I'm not blaming you. You need money. Bottom line is that you need money. And now we are surprised that after paying a visit with all the promises and everything, the agency is still at the same level. Now, the question I want to ask you, you are a politician. One member here said you have not done enough lobbying. You are a politician. You have a personal relationship with Mr. President. You. And he did not appoint you here by accident. He brought you here for a change. How has your relationship helped this organization? Or is it just personal to make you feel good, make you happy? You are maybe individually empowered. Why the agency that should be speaking for the government is dying? That's why I said I will ask you a personal question. You need money. And you see him when you want to see him. So try and help the organization you are heading. Thank you.